These are the 5 worst losses of the Hawthorn Football Club this century. Joining me is someone I reckon a lot of you wouldn't know she's a Hawthorn nuffy because she's actually quite professional when she's hosting Channel 7 and AFL.com.au, AFL Daily. But she is, when the cameras are off, she lets her proper eastern suburbs horrible person come out. Nat Edwards, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. So much fun to be here with you to talk about all the Hawthorn losses. Thanks for that. This is just reliving childhood trauma.
Shut up. Okay, I've just got to say, look, Hawthorn, how old are you, like roughly?
37.
37.
You can ask me.
So yeah, you are in a group of people that are probably my least favourite group of football fans. Kids who grew up supporting Hawthorn, a lot of them because, they were making grand finals in the 80s all the time. And, just for jumping on a bandwagon, what did you get? A 3-peat in your adult years.
I know.
It's just,
I know, I can't complain.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I really can't complain,
Childhood
especially
trauma.
to a Western Bulldogs supporter, and sorry to all the Saints fans out there too.
Yeah.
You must think of them.
Even when I'm complaining as a Bulldogs fan, I always think of the Saints fans. Yes, you've had it worse. We acknowledge that. Yeah. But are you a Hawthorn fan because of the premierships? Or?
No, I'm not actually. So, funny story, my prep teacher was a wonderful lady called Pam McGuinness, and her son Scott McGuinness played for the Hawks. And he was a premiership player. And one day he came into school and kicked a footy with us. And
locked in.
Next minute, I was locked in. My dad barracks for West Coast and Carlton, so he was just like, "What?"
Two teams.
Yeah, 2 teams.
Weird.
The West Australian barracked for Carlton before.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
West Coast came into the AFL, all that stuff, and he missed out. And I've been a Hawk ever since. And there were some tough years there though. In early days when I was supporting the Hawks, they weren't winning many games, and they were getting beaten up a lot by the Bombers.
Yes. I think the Bombers are going to be a pivotal part of this because I dare say, Nat, from watching listening to your podcast as I do most days, I think you might hate Essendon more than you love Hawthorn.
Quite possibly. It is
I love
a hobby.
that.
It's become a hobby.
That's fantastic.
Shout out to all the Bombers fans out there. Love you.
And one last thing, we're filming this green screen. We're in AFL House right now.
Yes, we are.
What are they filming here?
So this is our little studio. It's our news studio. We film footy feed in here every day, which you can see on the AFL app every weekday with myself and Sarah Ollie. We do some other little bits and pieces in here, some social stuff. Some pods even get recorded in here, but footy feed's the main one that comes out of this little studio.
Anyway, let's get into some losses, some pain.
Yes, okay.
Number 5.
I really hate that you're making me do this, but number 5 is round 17, 2004. It was an 80-point loss to North Melbourne. So there's a bit of, I guess, context around this because the week before, Peter Schwab, who was the coach at the time, had decided and announced that he would be standing down at the end of the season.
Okay.
So, and further context is, in the pre-season in 2004, he made the bold prediction that Hawthorn would win a flag.
Oh, yeah.
Which I remember vividly cutting out that article in The Age and sticking it in my Hawthorn scrapbook. And yes, I had one when I was in year 12.
Well, I like how you're saying had.
I had one.
You still
have
do.
One. And I remember that going, we're going to win the flag because Schwabby said so. Next minute, I think we'd only won, maybe 2 games at that point. So heading into this game, he said he was going to step down at the end of the season. And you think with that, maybe it might galvanise the playing group?
For new coach, always, you win when you get a new coach.
Yep.
This is close to it. And North Melbourne weren't great in 04.
They were okay.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it was the complete opposite. So Daniel Wells ran right for the Roos, and Hawthorn lost that day by 80 points. And it just capped off what was just a really miserable week. And then he obviously, after that game, was like, okay, it's clearly untenable. I'll step away. And then Donald McDonald stood in as interim coach for the rest of the season. So that was just peak misery for mine in 2004. And you just felt like you were such a long way off a flag, although 4 years later. And I guess you look at it now and you can look back and say, well, because we finished second last on the ladder, we got Roughhead and we got a priority pick, so we also got Buddy Franklin.
You are ruining my Schadenfreude video.
And Richmond obviously took Richard Tambling, and that worked out so well at number 1.
We don't want to mention who the Bulldogs got, because I think he's still injured.
Oh, no.
Number 4, worst loss for the Hawks this century, Nat.
Can I just say every loss to Essendon? Like, I mean, we could do this whole thing on Essendon losses because I hate losing them to them more than any other team.
You know, normally I wouldn't allow it, but your hatred burns so pure that I love it so much. And yes, of course, why do you hate Essendon? Like, you're too young to remember 1984.
Yeah, like I was born in 86, so I'm
go.
too young, but I've been blooded on that. And I think just because the brown and gold blood is in my system now that I just feel it. And my brother, he's 4 years younger than me, so he jumped on the Essendon bandwagon. And so we had this rivalry and we'd go to games together and he would just be in my face and
little brother as well.
Little brother.
So he can get away with more.
Yeah, so look, you know, that really just got me going. And he knew how to stick the knife in and twist it a little bit. So I think that's sort of where it's come from. And then you go to these games and Essendon supporters, I mean, Hawthorn supporters are equally as feral. Like that's just a given with all clubs. But
no,
I know,
bigger
just
ones
the
are more feral.
rivalry, and I guess it's a recency bias because this year, round one, the AFL's decided, you know, let's get some traditional rivals going, and Essendon Hawthorn has been the fixture for the last couple of years in the round one spot, and you want to get your season off to the perfect start. And then you lose to Essendon this year, last year, and it just ruins your whole season like that. And it was only round one. And I know so many Hawthorn supporters just go into the year going, if we just beat Essendon, that's all. I don't care about anything else. We could lose every other game, but if you beat Essendon, it's all good.
No, this is just you. Because most Hawks fans I know hate Geelong.
No.
They just want to beat Geelong on Easter Monday.
But you can respect Geelong because they're such a great club.
Yes.
But, you know, Essendon haven't won a final in over 7,000 days,
She
Daddy.
said it! She said it on my video! And speaking of Essendon, what's the third worst loss, Nat Edwards?
Don't make me go back there.
I've got to.
Round 11, 2004. 74-point loss to Essendon.
And you're in year 12, we just learnt.
Yes.
So
also known as the line in the sand game.
Now, this game, for us neutrals, is only really known for the fight.
Yeah.
I can't remember the context of who was winning. I don't even know.
Yep.
I've just found out Essendon won.
Yeah.
So what happened in the game?
Like half-time, right? And Hawthorn had been beaten up by Essendon for a while now. And
because Essendon were just coming off their dominant period.
Yes, exactly. So Hawthorn find themselves 30 points down at half-time.
Mm-hmm.
And Dermot Brereton goes into the room. He was a club director at the time. And he was like, this is enough. Enough is enough. Like, we need to stop being pushed around and beaten up by these guys. So he asked the players to take a physical stand. And I'm not sure he meant go out and belt the bejesus out of each other.
Oh, come on. I watched Dermot Brereton play in the 80s. Of course he meant that.
But I remember Dad and my brother, so Dad took us to this game, they went to get hot chips. Dad never wanted to go at half-time. He always wanted to go like just a little bit into the
I'm with you, Dad. That's
quarter.
exactly right. That's exactly.
So he
Except
went at
I'm start of the second quarter because they've just cooked a fresh batch.
Yeah, that's smart. So Dad went towards the end of half-time, so they missed the first little bit. And my brother and my dad returned to their seats, my brother obviously being the Essendon supporter, and there is just spot fires everywhere. And then this full brawl breaks out. You've got, I think it was Jason Winderlich was coming off the ground with trainers, and Campbell Brown has just struck him. Richie Vandenberg, Lance Piccioni, who wore the number 13. I was a bit of a fan of the Piccioni, but both of them were just going at it. I think both of them got suspended for about 6 or 4 games. I think in the end it was 18 players reported. Yeah, Richie got 6 weeks. He was a captain at the time. Piccioni banned for 4 games, as was Brownie. $70,000 worth of fines. But this melee broke out. But the bigger ban came in the Edwards household because I was so infuriated by what happened, and my brother had this Essendon flag and he used to wave it in my face. And I've never met your brother, but I really love him. Yeah, no, great guy. So I'm 17 at the time and he's 13, and I grabbed his flag and I snapped it and I threw it. And Dad was like, "You are banned from the football for the next month."
What?
And I couldn't go to the footy for the next month, and I was banned for throwing his bloody flag. Come on. And I was 17, so I probably should have known better, but it was just my brain snapped. So I can understand how it happens. And I threw a full tanty.
Yeah,
as
fair
a
enough.
17-year-old.
Well,
So
17, you're very emotional and hormones everywhere
Yeah.
and crazy, but no footy for my parents never used that as a
yeah,
punishment.
that-
God, that would have worked.
that was really serious. Yeah,
Oh.
I knew I was in trouble.
So, and how much did Essendon win by?
74 points.
Oh.
So it escalated after that. I think they kicked something like 9 of the next 10 goals, and Hawthorn just did not fire a shot. It was shameful. Shameful.
Number 2, worst loss. I can't believe it's taken this long for us to hear the words.
Geelong. Who I respect, but God, you love to beat them. So round 19.
I dare say
2012.
a lot of the people watching this video will be Geelong fans looking for Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Actually, we're going to go round 17, 2009. I reckon that's the second
that's the worst one? Okay.
because I think Tom Hawkins probably is the worst. So let's go round 17, 2009 against Geelong. This was probably the start of the Kennett curse. So the Kennett curse hadn't really come into play after that 2008 grand final loss.
Now, just for
win.
anyone who's watching this maybe 20 years in the
Yeah.
future, Jeff Kennett said after you beat Geelong in the 08 grand final that, Geelong don't have the mental disposition or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then
Yeah.
basically Geelong were like, we're never losing to Hawthorn again. And, well, they
Didn't
went
for
on,
like 10, 12
I think
games.
it was 11 games in the end.
Oof.
That was the record. But this game in particular, so 2009, I think it was the second time we'd played them that season.
Yeah, round 1 you played them and that's
right.
a close game.
Yeah, and they won that one. So the Hawks, I think, were up by 28 points in the last quarter, and they let the Cats back into the contest. And this is without Harry Taylor and Matthew Scarlett were both injured that game.
So
they
that's
both
their
injured their
defence
groins.
decimated.
So halftime, they're out of the game. So you're like thinking, we're in a good position here. But they managed to claw their way back into the game, and it's the last boundary throw-in. And I remember that Joel Corey somehow grabs the ball out of this stoppage, and he just lobs up this really high kick, and you can see that Jimmy Bartell's in and around, and the ball's floating down, and it somehow just falls into his lap. And at that point, the scores are 98-98, and there's only seconds left on the clock. And all Jimmy has to do, siren goes, he just has to score.
And he's not far out.
And he's not that far out. Yes, he's on a tight angle, but I think when he talks about it, he said that, he just tried to, go real far left rather than right where the boundary was. And, and it went through. I remember sitting there and I cried, because I cry a lot at the football. I cry at the drop of a hat, so it's really just every day kind of thing. Because it was so tense and you just wanted to win that game, and he bloody kicked it behind and it went through, and it actually screwed us because we ended up not making top 8 and we missed finals that year after we won that flag that we weren't supposed to win. But we won the flag in 2008, so I guess that's better than winning a home and away game, right?
Despite how much the Kennett curse, they dominated you for so long in so many heartbreaking ways, I still think you're on top.
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, Cats fans. I know I've just ruined your Schadenfreude, but you can go watch the Dave Thornton Geelong ones. And what's the worst loss? Since 2000, Nat Edwards, what's the worst moment in Hawthorn's home and away career?
I remember the week after this, I just felt this darkness and I couldn't get over it, and I cried after this loss. It was heartbreaking. Round 19, 2012.
Yes.
Against Geelong, Tom Hawkins, who, he's Geelong's games record holder and blah, blah. But we're on the verge of breaking the Kennett curse. This is like, at this point, we'd lost 8 games in a row to Geelong since winning the flag in 2008. We were on the verge of breaking it. So Geelong led the game by 51 points in the second quarter. So we got off to a shocking start, but we clawed our way back into the contest. And we hit the lead late in the final term. I think it was Brad Sewell kicked a goal that put us back in front. And we actually led by 8 points. We had some chances. I think Brewston Hale missed a couple. I think Poppy tried this, kick out of the air. And
as he often did. But he almost always made those.
I know, so fine. But it landed in the lap of a Geelong defender, and they ran the ball down the other end in the last couple of, I think it was really the last minute of the game. And so they rebound, 25 seconds left on the clock. Joel Selwood hits up his good mate, Tom Hawkins, just outside 50.
Yeah, straight in front.
Straight in front. I think he'd kicked 5 goals for the day already. So you're just sitting there going, Like, we'd come back from 51 points down. Like, I thought we'd had it. I thought we were going to break the curse.
Yeah.
All the emotion there, the anticipation. And he kicks it. And he kicks that bloody goal. And I just remember, like, Geelong fans, and, you know, they just erupted around us. I think we were sitting in the Hawthorn members area, but you know, those people sneak into the area.
Yeah, they infiltrate.
That don't back. I hate that. I don't want to sit with other opposition clubs.
I agree. I agree completely.
I don't want to be around you.
Like, we can have mixed areas, but there
I
should
know.
be separate areas for those of us who are sensitive.
Exactly.
I agree.
Sensitive or feral, whatever. But like, the crowd erupts. There are Geelong people slapping hype, and I'm just sitting there, and I was bawling my eyes out, just absolutely bawling. My best friend's there, her dad's there. It used to be the three of us at the footy, and we were just dumbfounded. Like, we couldn't believe it, and that was the 9th straight loss. And at that point, I thought, this curse will never end. It will never break.
Does it help that that was an honourable loss?
No. There are no honourable losses. What are you talking about? You back for the Bulldogs.
All of our losses are honourable. That is Nat's list. I reckon that she absolutely nailed it. But Hawks fans, you tell me, what was there anything worse? Remember, there's no finals here, so don't be saying the 2012 grand final or the 2011 prelim or the 2016 semi. We're just doing home and away games here, but I reckon she nailed it. Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, Geelong fans. Send this to your other Geelong friend. Essendon fans,
don't troll me.
Don't troll Nat, but do listen to AFL Daily, access all areas, Channel 7, follow her on Instagram. She's genuinely one of the great broadcasters, and she hides her feralness well, but no, it's always there.